Welcome, Wolfpack. It's time for the weekly walk and talk with Andy, the Sigma Prepper. So, usually in this walk and talk, we'll be looking at all the top news headlines, what's been going on this week. Today is the 7th of May, Sunday, the end of week 18. So we'll be looking at what's been going on in the headlines. We'll be looking at what's been going on as well with the woke news and everything else that's been going on. And of course, updates for the channel. Today, we have a special guest, because it's not just me, it's X. We've got an X-Meister in the house. Show some love, Mr. X, in the house. As well as Hugo Bear. Xavier's going to be helping out. He already helps out in the back end with Sigma Prepper. He's helping out today. More on the front end as well, so that's cool. Yeah, we're going up a little muddy path. We're going to be talking about the things that been going on this week, some of the headlines. We'll see what happened this week. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody who joined me for the live SHTF Scenarios show we had on Thursday. It was a great show. Thank you everybody showing up for that one. We talked about the security and defences in an SHTF scenario. Very important one. It was a long one, a big one. Lots of slides, lots of meat in there. So if you haven't watched it, it's definitely a defo watch. But what I have been doing is putting out a few segments of it, which I'm uploading as individual separate videos. And that way they're nice, easy chunks to sort of remind yourself of what we talked about, and far more easy to share as well on your social media, friends and family. So I'll carry on getting those rigged up. 15, 20-minute segments out of that show. It was pretty cram-packed full of information. So to make it easier, I'll carry on chopping bits out as we go. And you can catch up with them during the week. So thank you everyone who joined in that show. Thank you to the Streamlabbers as well who made it happen. Really appreciate it. Thank you. So despite the kind of lack of epic levels of news this week, the news headlines starting off on the beginning of the week, we had the drone attack on the Kremlin, which was, as I mentioned there, it was more like an RC plane with a firework on it than it really was any kind of a drone attack, really. But they called it an attempt on Putin's life, an attempted assassination. You can only imagine the calls for revenge that they're coming out with over in Russia. But we don't know if this is, as we discussed on the show, whether this is some form of a not true flag that Russia's done. But that's just, to be honest, that's just not Russia's style. They kind of fight wars like men. They don't really do tricks like that so much. They're not so much known for it as perhaps other nations are, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's been in the headlines pretty much since all week. We'll see what comes of it. Just come across a fallen tree here in the middle of the pathway, which is a perfect candidate for the electric chainsaw that I also modelled on the SHTF Scenarios Securing Defences show. I showed you my electric chainsaw, which is actually for cutting things like this out of the way of a pathway. But really, do you think someone's going to want to get near that? Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. You want a tin of what? Sorry. No, sorry, I can't hear. Say again. What did you wanted? Oh, right. No, sorry, can't hear you. Right. Do you think someone's going to want to mess around with that? I mean, obviously, that's not what this is for. This is for cutting down the trees. Pathway, but while we're here, just thought I'd mention as well, one of the other things in the news this week was the RFK, the Robert F. Kennedy, saying about him vowing to pardon Julian Assange if he gets into power and stuff. And it does make you wonder, as I mentioned during the week, about why Obama didn't and why Trump didn't more specifically, right? And it's just a choice at the end of the day. It's only an executive order away from being done. And with Trump's vow for press freedom, when he invited everybody to the White House, with people like Mark Dice and these types of characters into the White House to talk about censorship being such a problem, and yet you got Julian Assange sitting there still in Belmarsh prison, who actually this week as well in the news, while we're there, Julian Assange also, don't forget, penned that letter to King Charles III for his coronation on the eve of the coronation, expressing his kind of outrage really to the British prison and legal system to even allow that to happen the way it has, and the conditions that he's endured and others around him and so on. So until somebody comes along and does something like that, right, and not just says they're going to free someone, or like Obama, who said he was going to close down Gitmo and never did, don't forget, right? And neither did Trump. It's still rocking and rolling like it was before. So, you know, maybe that's part of the litmus test, is to see who are the people up for true internet freedom and, you know, freedoms of speech, and who are not. Because until we get that intact, really anything else we talk about is kind of like moot and void, since the minute you lose free speech, everything else topples after. So the other thing we talked about this week was the canine robot dogs, the Boston Dynamics robot dogs that everyone finds to be pretty creepy. They were talking about combining the Boston Dynamics robot dogs with ChatGPT AI and what that would bring for people and what kind of future we will have battling AI and robots employed and programmed by the law enforcement and things. And I talked about how really it would play out more like, unlike Skynet Terminator type style. I mentioned about how AI, if it was truly intelligent, it wouldn't need to go to those lengths. It understands the fallibility of humans and how easy we are to deceive, particularly with the new technology with like things like deep fakes and the ability for AI to do voice print mapping, facial mapping. You know, it can just convince a military general to push buttons that it's not supposed to push by just deep faking and pretending that it's it's, you know, the president or something giving the order. You know, it can do things like that. Call people up, intercept communications, act as though they're someone else. And
I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality. Now, what do you see?
I'm sure at some point they'll roll the robot dogs out, but at that point in time, I mentioned the Wrangler Star, great YouTube channel I followed for many years. He did a few TikTok videos and some YouTube shorts with his own idea about how to overcome the robot dogs with black paint, oil, sand, all mixed together. And things like this, other concoctions. I mentioned was a month or so ago, was it? And there was a guy who took one of those Boston Dynamics robot dogs down with barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce. And at long last, after 2 weeks of flattening the curve, the WHO have finally come out and said the COVID-19 emergency is officially over. Yay! And it's that time of year. Maybe we should wish and hope that the WHO doesn't come back with their crazy plans of taking over the world during the next pandemic, which is what they've been planning recently, to say if there's another pandemic of which they get to decide if it's a pandemic or not. If they call it, then they can take over all the sovereignty of all the countries and tell them what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and even to the point where they can mandate the you-know-what and enforce the mandate of the you-know-what. So serious stuff. So anyone you hear talking about COVID, anyone you see wearing a mask, anyone you hear talking about having a you-know-what, just tell them. Sounds like a bit 2020 to me, my boy. Sounds a little bit like 2020 to me. It's 2023. It's over. Or is it?
Hugo, wait.
And he's off. Hugo having a crazy run around. Talking of crazy, we had to endure that Kamala Harris outburst this week, her speeches, and she's complaining about her popularity going down to about 0.1%. And I'm not surprised with her, like, ludicrous speech that, I don't know what it was supposed to be. Today is today. Today is tomorrow today. We're absolutely exhausted running through the fields. Got to get out there. You've got to get yourself all totally out of breath at least a couple of times a week. Now more important as well with keeping your fitness up. We've got summertime coming up, so I'm really looking forward to getting my fitness up to scratch. Everyone lets it go over the winter and stuff, so look out for that. I'll document it. I'll keep you involved with it. And my recovery time from being out of breath should be halved. In fact, I was planning to do the Army Corps fitness test as my way of getting fit and aim towards that. I forget how many sit-ups, how many pull-ups it is, and how fast you got to do a mile in. Talking of the Navy, another news story we had this week was the Navy employing drag queens now because of the numbers of recruitment dropping. So think about that statement. So because the Navy, because the Navy recruitment numbers are dropping so bad, they're resorting to using drag queens to... I just don't get it, because you're talking about like 0.7% of the population of America. A very minute, fraction of the population is going to identify with a drag queen, particularly a drag queen identifying to do with the Navy. I don't know. I showed as well just a sheer contrast between the Russian idea of a military recruitment campaign.
Но разве ты сумел узнать себя? Познать границы своих возможностей? К черту границы! Ты готов ломать себя? Да, потому что без врага нет боя, а без боя нет победы.
Kind of what you'd expect, if you know what I mean, do you know? It's like...
And the American version of a recruitment campaign to the military.
It begins in California, with a little girl raised by 2 moms. I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age.
And it's just absolutely embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So, talking of kings and queens, it was a interesting coronation. King Charles III yesterday, the 6th of May. Saw a few clips of it. I'll tell you, when you see them all standing up there in the podium thing, it looks like a deck of playing cards, with the old Jack, King, Queen, with all their clothing and all the colours and stuff. So, getting twisted up with Hugo Bear here. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting day, lots going on. I'll give you a full report next week, obviously, of all what went on, but I can tell you offhand now. In the morning yesterday, they already pre-arrested a whole bunch of protesters before they even protested anything. And they had loads of signs saying, "Not my king," that they seized as well. But despite that, there was still pretty big turnout of protesters on the day. But other than that, it seemed to go okay. It looked like a nice event. Prince Harry seems to have been ignored by everyone, which is kind of to be expected. So yeah, as part of the coronation yesterday, I did see some clips where horses were actually having a bit of a problem and they were backing into the crowds, and it looked pretty gnarly, to be honest. And like they always say, if you're making movies, for example, never work with pets or children. And animals, pretty unpredictable, as you saw on the video there, I can't believe that nobody was injured, but there was quite a few instances where the horses were getting a little bit out of control, and I don't know how they trained them with all those crowds and all that noise and all the screaming and clapping and cheering and horns and things that were going on. So to the horses that didn't make any mistakes at all, absolute respect due with a K to everything that made it happen yesterday. I mean, for those that agree with it or don't agree with it, at least it was an event that can be remembered and other people got to celebrate. So I hope everybody enjoyed their celebrations over the weekend for the King's coronation, King Charles III, 6th of May, 2023. What a beautiful tree. I think we might need to give it a hug. What a beautiful tree. We find a tree, Wolfpack, give it a hug. Give it a hug. Believe me, get yourself grounded to it, skin on skin. Thank you, planet Earth. Thank you, planet Earth, for trees. Just found a lovely spot here, just near a little small lake pond type thing, and Hugo's gagging to get in there and have a little splash about, and Xavier's doing a great job of stopping him from jumping in there. What we like to do as well on these weekly walk and talks is to pick the best quote from the week, the Sigma quotes. So thank you for submitting the quotes in the Discord server, and of course the memes as well. So we're going to be looking at the top meme and the top quote from this week. So we'll start with the best quote of the week then, the Sigma quotes, and no favoritism, but the quote this week is my favorite, is actually from Magic Hand, Mrs. Sigma Pepper. So thank you for sending that into the Discord server. Don't forget you can submit your quotes. So the best quote this week then, Magic Hand: preparation through education is less costly than learning through tragedy. Preparation through education is less costly than learning through tragedy. So thank you, Magic Hand, for sending that one in. I had to say that was the best of the week. So thank you for submitting your quote. And again, if you'd like to submit your favorite quotes, you can do that over on the Sigma Prepper Discord server. Link in the description of this video below. So when it comes to the memes this week, then I like to pick the favorite meme of the week. And I've got to say, this week was an easy one from Netrum Design, which was the one. You go. We nearly had our own meme right there. It's not the first time he would have dragged himself into a big lake before. So, Netrum Design meme, thank you so very much. If government was a scented candle. If government was a scented candle was his meme, and I thought that was brilliant. So thank you, Netrum Design, for popping your meme in there. Let's get out of here, shall we? Excellent. Let's get him out of it before he dives in. So thank you. And again, you can submit your favorite memes in the description below. You'll find the Discord server link. So do get yourself over there. Do join. It's completely free. And of course, submit your favorite memes, your favorite quotes, Sigma Mindset quotes and everything. And it's a great community over there as well. So do go and check out the Discord server. Linked in the description. Don't forget to catch up with the show from Thursday, the SHTF Scenarios show, which was the security and defenses when SHTF. It was a big show. I will be cutting bits out of it, but do go and check it out if you haven't done already. I will be looking to bring another SHTF Scenario show on Thursday, this coming Thursday, which will be something to do with tactical comms, communications during SHTF, and it'll be specific to do with communications. And I feel that will set us up quite nicely to then the following week, we can get more specific about how to program your ham radio, all the configurations, what they are, all the settings. So that will lead us up to that. That's the plan. So let us know about your thoughts on that in the comments below and any other subjects that you feel important for me to cover with the SHTF Scenarios. And thank you again to those that supported me in that and with the Streamlabs and everything as well. Thank you. Really, really appreciate your support of the channel. It's growing nicely. We need to share those videos out there and we are becoming a pretty cool little wolf pack here. So what can I say? Love, peace and progress to the pack.